your right hands and repeat after me. I have heretofore been a subject or citizen
my name is Gowon. I was born in a small village in Burma, East Burma. I stayed in Burma for about more than 20 years, and I moved to the camp because just like when I was in Burma, and they're always fighting there, and my village was burned off, and I cannot stay there anymore, so I moved to the refugee camp in Thailand. Last year, I applied for resettlement to the United States, and I came here in January 2011. Kula. So we cook with the chili and the turmeric. It's very good. Very good taste. Yes, just like a very nice place here. It's good for me because my children can go to school and have a chance for just like a good school. And I also have a job here, so it's better for me. Just like when I was in the refugee camp, and I don't have a chance to get outside of the camp, and I don't have any. I can see that I don't have freedom. Just like I live there, just like a bird in a cage.
Refugees are so eager for their children to get a good education because they often themselves had their education disrupted. They might themselves be illiterate, and they really see education as a way out of poverty and marginalization. But they face many challenges. They often cannot help children with their homework. This is where after-school programs become very important. When there's trouble at school, they often don't know how to respond, again, because they cannot articulate well in English.
Right now, I also try to organize a Korean community in Louisville here. Yes, next we will have a meeting, the initial meeting. We will gather just like as many as we can, yes, Korean, to come together, and we will discuss about it, and if possible, we will just like form a committee, yes, the Louisville Korean community. Yeah.
My understanding is there are, I think, 3 levels that you can organize officially with the government. I mean, you can have an organization. There are groups that give money to people to help them with certain projects. Then you must organize it under the government.
We group up our organization. It doesn't mean we'll show up and try to get a large amount of money from government. Simply, we just try to help one another. That's all.
With the Karen, I remember this when some of the Karen first came. They had sort of a leadership in their camps. A few certain men who happened to also come to Louisville, and they assumed leadership roles here as well in the community. Okay. So they sort of brought the structure they had developed in the camps in Thailand with them here, the same kind of political structure.
Well, my name is Sophie Mayer, and I work as the Immigrant Services Librarian for the Louisville Free Public Library, and I'm based out of the Iroquois branch of the system. I do outreach into the immigrant community to educate folk about what the library has to offer. A signature program that we've done here at the Iroquois Library for many years is called the English Conversation Club. The concept is bringing together volunteers and English language learners to work one-on-one in English conversation. In terms of the people who come here to practice English, it's quite diverse. many refugees who come in are refugees might be folk who've had interrupted education, who might not be literate in their own first language, or they might be professionals from their own countries. I mean, what's neat in terms of turnaround is when we will have folk who began at the English Conversation Club who will then return as volunteers and who will even specifically say, this helped me and now I want to give back to people in the same situation.
When refugees come to the U.S., they face, like many immigrants do, a host of challenges. The first and foremost is language. That, this is a society where you must learn English. Simply, the things that we take for granted in daily life, the kind of bureaucracies that we're used to dealing with, whether it's banking, enrolling children in schools, navigating the healthcare system. These all pose tremendous challenges for people whose English is, not perfected.
My name is Adil. It sounds really crazy because it's A-A-D-I-L American. They say Adil or Adil. But the sound in Arabic, it's really different because they came from the throat, it's Ayn. So it's all the name in Arabic is getting meaning. So my name is Adil, it's like justice. I'm from Iraq. I'm from the small city in Iraq. It's close to Baghdad. I moved to Damascus 2006, 2007. And then I stayed in Damascus for a while, until 2010. Then I moved as a refugee to America in 2010. I'm not making art for one age, for the adult or for the teen or for the child. Try to make art for everybody. I have friends and a lot of people when they came in my exhibit and they say this art is I feel it's I am I feel it. You paint myself you know what I mean? Just I say I feel this is myself. Just I say that's cool. But I think it's it's really good communication with the people because you don't need to speak. So it's the art speak. We're gonna pull the leaf and then the snow is coming. So
Winter.
Yeah. So,
My goat died in winter.
Really?
Oh, well,
I'm working with the other refugees, a lot of people worse than me. I get a lot of mistake with the grammar, I know that, but sometimes I need really help when I get some question. A lot of people, they help me. It does. Yeah, and it's really cool. It's awesome. But a lot of refugees, they need really help.
My name is Alex Udis. I work at the Americana Community Center. I'm the community garden manager, environmental educator, trash collector, lawn mower, garage cleaner, truck picker-upper. We have the garden here at the Americana Community Center because a great deal of our clients, most of our clients, are refugees and immigrants. Usually they're resettled into apartment complexes and homes that don't offer any green space. So this gives them a spot to supplement their income both through just growing their own vegetables or through selling. We have a number of gardeners who sell their produce either within sort of informal markets amongst their various ethnic groups, or we started last year at Americana with the WRAP program. We started a farmers market here.
Well, I'm going to the country down by the river. There is a place that is close to my heart. Yeah, I'm leaving the city, the cars and the noises. The foot of a mountain is where I belong. And I'm gone, I'm gone. And I'm gone, I'm gone. Yo me voy para el campo cerca.
These here, 2 workers. This here is the boss today, Julius. It's his birthday. This here, and this here's Playful. They work. They're our hardest workers here at the Americana, for the summer at least.
I get to be a boss today, since it's my birthday, and I've been through a lot of things. Just to let y'all know.
And they're working hard right now. And keeping the place clean.
So throughout a lot of the United States, when legal refugees are resettled, they live in larger cities, and there's a big disconnect in their lives here from their previous agricultural lives, or where they lived on farms and in rural communities. And so frequently, many come to their new communities and new, maybe a resettlement agency and say, oh, I was a farmer. Is there any way I can farm? Is there, work in farming or gardening? And so here in Louisville, we try to address that by at least giving folks the opportunity to have small garden plots. So people can have the chance to grow at least a little bit of food for their families, for their cousins, extended families, neighbors.
They dig like a little, like 2 meters, and they put all kind and you cover.
And then you dig that out later, or you
You
just plant on top of that?
And in a few days they become like this, and then you go make with the shovel and try to dig it up.
Okay. So everyone needs to put all of the weeds, everything that you pull from your garden that you're cleaning out, needs to go here.
Ibintu byose uba uri gukubura mu murima wawe, uri gukura, uri kugira ute ngo byagomba kuja biza hano muri ifumbire yawe.
And everyone needs to take, if they can, take the time to try to break up things, sort of smaller than this. We don't want big sticks or big twigs or big
When we interview growers at the end of each growing season, they tell us that they share produce with anywhere from 5 to 10 families each summer, and multiple times each summer. So if everybody's sharing, a couple of pounds each summer with, up to 10 families, that's at least 50 pounds of produce that's getting into the hands of neighbors and community members. And if you multiply that by the 85 families in our program and the 9 growers at Americana Community Center Gardens, you really you can see that there's a larger impact on communities than just the folks who have garden plots.
Hey, you can throw my finger.
My name is Nene, and I'm from Kenya, and I work at Americana Community Center. I work with kids, first and second graders. I want to be the person for my family to graduate school, high school, college, and get a degree, and then later in life have a good future and just get adopted, to get the adoption of United States. my brother. This is my sister, brother, sister, and sister. I came straight to Louisville, like when I came to the United States. I came straight to Kentucky and lived in Louisville for 6 years. And we moved to a place called Park Hill. The first 2 weeks, somebody broke our windows and stuff. I don't know why they did it and what we did for them to do that, but they did it. We as refugee, I never been in a situation where like people will come to your house and break your house and try to start things with you. I never been in that kind of situation before, even when I was in Africa.
Refugees can also be victims of crime. This is another challenge. They become very vulnerable when they come here often. They're not used to, it's funny because they're often coming from places of terrible violence, political violence, but they're not coming from places where you had to lock your door against the neighbor, or the idea of someone coming in to steal from you. And I know that some refugees, we've had to explain to them, you must lock your door. You can't leave the door open. And they can become victims of crime because of language issues, that sort of inability to navigate, to know where you are and what are the danger signs.
And like this neighborhood is like, it's not really a fantastic neighborhood, Like, I don't know, I don't want to put like some kind of bad information about it either, but yeah, it's dangerous. It was really bad, dangerous before, but now it's not that dangerous, because before you wouldn't be standing here by now. Yeah, it used to be not many African kids coming out, used to come outside before, cause
Afraid of black day.
yeah, like if your kid's outside, and then it's gonna be another African American kid coming out, and then like try to to the other kids, and then there's gonna be violence going on. That's what it used to be, but now it's more like calm now.
Once they cross that border, they've been, in a sense, excised from the state. They become communities with a shared sense of suffering. They have a common experience. They have a common narrative develops about being excluded from the state, facing violence, and fleeing. And I think the other thing that helps refugees, or facilitates the building of community, is that refugees are all now participating in a set of institutions. And so this institutional network starts bringing together refugees as the displaced vis-a-vis the administrators and the humanitarian aid.
My name is Elizabeth Kaesneck, and I'm the Executive Director of Kentucky Refugee Ministries. We started about 22 years ago. Over the course of that 22 years, we've resettled 8,000 individuals and counting. Refugees are legally admitted to the United States through the State Department, and they're first vetted overseas with the United Nations High Commission on Refugee Resettlement. Once their story is verified, they're given an I-94 stamp, which gives them the possibility of being resettled in one of the countries that resettles refugees. Just that integration process, even though we have all of these programs and services to help them, it just takes time. And the number one thing that it takes to integrate are friendships, American friendships. They need to be able to build some of those bridges into the community that we spend sometimes lifetimes making, knowing where to go to get your car fixed, knowing who to call if your child is sick, knowing if you have a breakdown with your car, can you trust the people that come to help you? All of those little networks are part of the fabric of our lives that help us to integrate. And it takes years in order to build those relationships and to build those bridges and to build trust. back into your life, especially because some of them have just seen so many horrible things done in their home countries. The housing they're placed in is in areas where there's more challenge for safety, access to the job market, education, and everything in general. Climbing out of poverty is difficult for any person, and refugees and immigrants, for the most part, start in situations of poverty, and so they have to build and rebuild. And they're doing that in a country with a language that's not their own.
My name is Surekha Kulkarni, and I am the Program Director of the Beaded Treasures Project for Refugee Women. The project focuses on providing refugee women beaders with tools and resources for them to generate income and become self-sufficient without any help from the government or other aid. So I used to volunteer at Kentucky Refugee Ministries. In 2010, I met this group of women who were selling jewelry at their annual fundraiser. We started by having a home party just to see if this idea was viable. And within 1 hour, we had made $1,000.
Proud of the initiative that so many of you have shown in taking control of your lives and working to build a business and a source of income and support for your family. So I wish that we could provide all sorts of additional microcredit that will help finance so many more people, but we're having, as you might have heard, some particularly sparse times in Washington.
I came to Louisville in 1986. The reason we moved here was because of a school. My son is severely dyslexic and he was failing kindergarten in India. So we tried to, find out what's wrong or what is it we could do to help him. And there was no awareness of dyslexia at that point in time in India. And my brother-in-law used to live in Louisville. So when he came to visit us, he thought that maybe we could come here and see if Nikhil could be helped. But at the end of the year, we were faced with the choice of either leave everything and move or stay and continue the way we were. And we felt like we had no choice and we just decided to move. And on a personal level, it's been such an enriching experience that I felt so grateful that I felt like I needed to give back.
City like Louisville, whose growth at the moment is highly attributed to foreign-born people. And if people can project a bit and put that into context, it's their children who are going to be some very important decision makers in the city of Louisville. So I think that once people recognize this, they're going to need to understand and interact and recognize all of the potential and all of the cultural attributes that we now have the benefit of observing and sharing and mixing all up to make that which is now Louisville.